Hey guys, it's your favorite nerdy YouTuber who's apparently running out of ideas. So today we're going to be talking about roster moves that should happen, in my opinion. And this video is going to be more about adding players rather than just like saying, oh, this team needs to remove this person specifically. Mainly because for a lot of these players, esports is a dream and I don't want to be a dream killer. And second, not everyone in this league is making tens or even yay kind of money. You know, if someone gets cut, they can only probably live off of their salary for like maybe 1 to 3 years, maybe even less if they're living in LA. But this video is mainly going to be for the Americas since that's the league that I watch, but I will try to include a little something for each region. But with that out the way, let's get right into it. The first person I want to mention is MCE. This guy is a fantastic coach. He's currently working with Maryville University, which is pretty smart since colleges give you great job security since they just print money. But I think last year we all can agree that he proved to be an extraordinary coach. He was able to make diamonds out of very little materials. And when I say little, I'm really talking about little time. You guys have to understand, they dropped Ye and Vanity at the start of their season. It was rumored like late February, and then they were able to add new players not too long before their regular season started. And they were able to punch up their weight class. They were beating teams that they probably had no business beating, like NRG early on. And they even pushed Loud to a 3-map series. This team was cooking it, and I think a big part of that was because of MCE. And we've already seen it this year that there is such a thing as coaching diff, with Parter being able to coach EG and beat G2 as well as take a map off of Loud's Ascent comp, something that Sentinels and Leviathan couldn't do, as well as K-Corp's coach Eng leading these young superstars to victory in EMEA. MCE kind of deserves a chance in Tier 1. Now, I'm just a fan of the game. I have no insider information. Maybe he wants to stay in Maryville University. I don't know, but if he wants a Tier 1 job position, I think you should give it to him. I could see him doing wonders with G2. And the great thing about a coach, you could just plug and play them anywhere. And he doesn't have to even replace your current coach. He could just be like a specialist, similar to how in the NFL they have a defensive and offensive coordinator. There's tons of examples already in the league, like MIBR, who has 2 former Loud head coaches on their team, and they were able to punch up their weight class. Also, you can look at Loud. I have no idea who their head coach really is. VLR is saying it's Pedro Lopez, but I'm always seeing Jordan Nunez in the coaching booth. And plus they have a sports psychologist that does stuff like this.
Relaxa, tropa. Acho que todo mundo sabia que ia ser difícil, né, mano?
Quer fazer as suas
Não, só queria falar uma parada. Independentemente de qual fosse o resultado desse mapa, eu queria falar um bagulho, mano. Mas eu quero que a gente entre respeitando o jogo, respeitando o processo do round e, acima de tudo, mano, se divertindo. Eu acho que a gente tava muito tenso, mano, focando muito do lado de lá. Não quero comentários dos caras, eu quero comentário. O que a gente vai fazer? Qual é o próximo round pro nosso bombe? Mano, você jogou muito. Tu joga pra caralho. É isso que eu quero da gente. Tô confiante. Do nosso lado do servidor, a gente é forte pra caralho. Vambora, caralho. Vamos, cara.
And when I saw that clip, I automatically said, this was no sports psychologist. That's a freaking coach. He reminded me of what my high school coaches will say to us in huddles. I'm just saying all of this that MCE can just plug and play anywhere. Like, I'm sure all of China could use this man's help. Shoot, I can even see a future of him back on Cloud9, seeing how they like to play a game of takesy backsies. And again, I'm just a fan, so for all I know, maybe he wants full control. Maybe he wants to be the only coach on the job, but I think there is a possibility that he can bring a lot of value to any team, especially G2, who are making moves with Net, which is kind of fair, I guess, since his stats don't look all that great. But let's be honest here, G2. When you have a massive lead on the defensive end and can't get a single attacking round, is it fair to blame your Sentinel player for that? Shoot, even against EG, you guys had a 7-1 lead, and then when the halves switched, you guys folded. It could be something else. What that is, I'm not entirely sure. Next, we have pANcada, because Sentinels did the very stand-up thing and allow him to explore his options without a buyout being tied to him. And when this news dropped, a lot of people say he should go to Leviathan, which could have been a good fit for him, but they're an English-speaking team now. And I know we've seen this man speak English pretty all right. I just want to see this guy as comfortable as possible, playing the role that he wants, speaking the language that he likes. Maybe if they were still a Spanish-speaking team, I could see it work, because a lot of people say Spanish and Portuguese is very similar. But like I said, Leviathan is an English-speaking team now, so that's kind of rip. I mean, if he wants to do it, he can. I'm just a fan. I have no insider information. I would love to just see him on a Brazilian team. There's been news that he's turned down Furia offers, which leaves MIBR, who has 2 of his former coaches on the team, which I guess could work. They've already shocked the world once. With pANcada, they could go on a run. And then there's also Loud, which could be kind of tricky because if Loud does bad in Masters Madrid, then obviously they might look into getting pANcada. But if they do really good, you probably don't want to mess up that chemistry that's building, you know? And then there's also Crew, who are a Spanish speaking team, which I'm not entirely sure either with Crew, because I don't think Crew's problem is firepower. They have a lot of it already. But hey, I mean, it worked with Paper Rex. Paper Rex's problem wasn't firepower, and they brought in something, and they did amazing things last year by just bringing in more cannons. So what do I know? But at the same time, if pANcada wants to go on an English speaking team, go for it. I wouldn't mind seeing him on MIBR, Loud, or even Crew. For now, we're going to be taking a small break from the Americas. We'll come back to you. Don't worry, I will. But I want to go to EMEA. During my pick'ems for this region, I said it kind of sucked that Kiwi got cut for basically CNED. But since a lot of teams are making moves right now, why not someone pick him up, you know? Especially BBL. It's kind of crazy how like all the other teams in EMEA are taking Turkish talent instead of a Turkish-based org. I don't know what's going on over there. One of the problems you would run into with Kiwi is the fact that he's on a tier 2 team currently. So you might have to do a buyout clause, which I think it could be worth it if you're willing to make a run. And I was actually looking at his team. There's this guy called Social Bleed. This man is insane. Like, I was looking at QE just to look at his stats, how he's doing in tier 2 in that league, and it's pretty decent. But this guy's Social Bleed as well. Like, come on, BBL. You guys are a Turkish-based team. Take this Turkish-based talent. This man is going crazy. He's basically smurfing on Reyna. He's pretty good with Raze. Raze is in meta right now. Like, he could play so many different classes. He's killer on Omen. Like, I think BBL should like really upgrade their staff. There's no reason for them to be struggling as much as they are with all this Turkish talent everywhere throughout the league. So I would pick up these guys in an instant. So let's head over to Pacific for a little bit as well. Originally, I was gonna say Zest when I was drafting this video way back when. But he got picked up by Bleed Esports. Like, that's one of the things with this video. So many players that I actually suggested in the original draft already got picked up, which is why I delayed this video. But since Zest got picked up by Bleed Esports, which is a smart move, but kind of, I don't really know, because I don't think the people that Bleed let go of were the problem. I think putting Ye on Sky was kind of weird, but that's a video for a completely different topic. I think one person that people should look into is King. He kind of got dropped from T1 because of off-season performance, which that's kind of rough, right? To get dropped because of off-season tournaments is kind of wacky in my opinion, but it turns out they made a right choice because Rossi's basically his replacement and he's been doing wonders for T1, coming up clutch too. I'm not too sure if King can speak English, so I think he could go the RB route and just go to China. And not all the Chinese teams have an import already, so he could fit somewhere. RB basically carried Titan Esports Club into play-ins. He was a big part of Vision Strikers too, so you know he has the pedigree to like win. The same could be said for Suggest as well, you know? I know he was on DFM, but you know who else was on a bad team but turns out to be great? Texture. Texture was on GE. He struggled a lot, but bring him into a comfortable role, he performs well. So the same thing with Suggest. Again, I'm not too sure what Pacific team he could play on, but could work on China. Of course, there's the whole like language barrier, but I believe there was another import in China that doesn't speak Mandarin, and he just like goes off of vibes, and they went pretty far and deep into the tournament as well, I believe. And you know what? Maybe it won't hurt the Pacific teams to look at Australia. You know, ignoring a whole country is one thing, but you're ignoring a whole continent of players. It's just so weird to me that there's more Australians in EMEA and in China than there are in Pacific. That's just such a weird thing to happen, in my opinion. That's basically the equivalent of like America's teams, like every single America's team ignoring every single South American player. I guess maybe Australia has an issue with like the whole servers and locations being far apart from each other. So maybe location is just like what's really holding back Australian players. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure there are Australian individuals out there who are deserving of tier 1 opportunities. And now we're going back to EMEA. And two names that kind of really stick out to me is Scream and Nevera. As long as Scream isn't on IGL, unless you're just like a content farming team, and then maybe you can put Scream on IGL if you just want to farm the content. But in all honesty, Scream is very talented when he's not the in-game leader. I think VLR says he's based in Belgium, and I know a lot of like people from there speak multiple languages, so I think you could plug him in on a lot of teams, right? I'm pretty sure I've heard him speak English before. He also speaks French, as we know, because he was on Carmine Corp. I could see him help teams like maybe Liquid or even Koi if he's up for it. Same thing with Nevera. Now we're back in the Americas. Obviously, there's Finesse and Psalm. They have stated that they would like to be a package deal, but if the situation and the price is right, then they wouldn't be like holding each other back from those kind of opportunities, you know? Especially Psalm. This man has proven to get the job done on Duelist and Controller. I wouldn't be surprised if he could play any role and still top frag like crazy under the right IGL. And then, you know, we already know Finesse. We already know the master classes that he's able to pull off. And the whole thing that's tricky about Americas as well, especially tier 2 talent, is that there's so much of it, man. If someone like Neri can get the job done over there in EMEA, just imagine what other tier 2 talents can do. And if they decide to go outside of different regions, like, you know, the ex-Mogul Moves guys who kind of got left behind, even some of the Turtle Troopers as well. But one tier 2 talent that I kind of want to like point out, maybe two of them, which is kind of like recency bias because they were playing in a popular off-season tournament. I'm basically talking about Verno, and I think he could work on G2, especially since G2 is looking to like offload net. The only thing with Verno is that you have two things you got to think about, which is first, the buyout clause for Oxygen, if there is one, and then he turns 18 in late April, right? So G2 can do something similar to like how Team Heretics is going about their stuff, where they can keep net on the team as a stand-in, you know, as a bridge while they bring in Verno. And if they're able to make the playoffs of Split 1, then you can see Verno providing a lot of value for that playoffs. And I think it's very possible for them to make playoffs in their group. And with the way the schedule is set up, I think Verno would be able to play like maybe 1 or 2 regular season matches before the playoffs even starts. We kind of seen him just frag out as a Sentinel as well. So they could do something similar to like how Team Heretics is doing with the whole Woot situation and Patty Tech. So I could see Verno working on G2. And even if it doesn't work out, I'm sure it can be greatly beneficial for their champs aspirations, champs 2024 aspirations as well. And then there's Dapper. I'm pretty sure Dapper can fit on any team, and you can like watch some interviews that he's done in the past. He's been working his butt off as well. He's proven it once, he could probably do it again. But yeah, you guys let me know down below if I missed anybody. Like I said, this was mainly going to be on Americas. I wasn't trying to make this video too long, but hey, if you guys name anyone else down in the comments, I wouldn't mind like looking into them and stuff like this. This was just like a fun little video to do. But yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next one.